The rain had stopped an hour ago, but the pavement outside still glistened under the neon glow of Sunrise Diner, just off I-40 in Amarillo, Texas. Truck engines hummed in the background, headlights streaking past as rigs barreled down the highway. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of frying bacon, black coffee, and onion rings that never seemed to leave the place no matter the hour. High school football posters curled at the edges on one wall, and a cluster of county fair flyers hung near the register, promising rodeo nights and funnel cakes. It was supposed to be just another weeknight dinner rush. Families with kids and cleats filled two booths, older couples ate quietly at the counter, and a pair of mechanics traded stories over pie. But near the window, tucked into a corner booth, sat Amara Bennett. 19 years old, shoulders drawn tight, her eyes rimmed red. Her phone lit up again. A buzz. A new message. She'd been waiting for 40 minutes, sipping only water because that was free. Across the screen glared the name she'd been hoping to see, Brenton Hale. He was supposed to be her date tonight, the one who had invited her here, told her this diner had the best burgers in Amarillo. The message was short, cruel. Wow, you actually showed up. I was kidding. Not worth the drive. Enjoy your $5 dinner, sweetheart. Her chest tightened as the words burned across her screen. She pressed her lips together, trying to swallow the sting. Around her, forks clanked against plates, and laughter from a nearby table filled the air, but it all blurred into static. Amara reached for her small wallet. When she opened it, her fingers paused. A single crumpled $5 bill sat inside, just enough for coffee and maybe toast if she stretched it. Not enough for a meal. Certainly not enough for the kind of night she thought this might be. She looked down at her dress, a cream-colored hand-me-down from her mother, worn once at graduation and now fraying at the seams. She had ironed it that afternoon in her tiny Tulsa apartment, thinking it would give her confidence. But confidence couldn't fight humiliation. At the counter, a man stirred his coffee slowly. Cole Whitaker, 38, a long-haul driver with tired eyes and calloused hands, had stopped in for caffeine before heading west. He noticed the girl at the booth. He saw the way her hand hovered over her phone, the way her jaw clenched, the way her eyes flicked toward the door every time it opened. He didn't speak, didn't approach, but he lifted his chin toward Tasha King, the waitress working the floor. With a subtle nod, he pointed at Amara's table. Tasha raised an eyebrow. Cole simply slid a 20 across the counter. "Give her whatever she wants. Don't say who," he murmured. Moments later, a plate landed in front of Amara. Steaming fries, a cheeseburger stacked tall, and a glass of lemonade that caught the glow of the diner lights. Her brows knit in confusion. "I didn't order this," she whispered. Tasha only smiled. "It's covered." Amara hesitated, fork in hand. She had no idea that across the room, Cole was still watching quietly, never lifting his eyes when she looked around, never asking for thanks. Her phone buzzed again. This time, the words froze her blood. "Don't leave until I say so." The diner's glass door rattled as Brenton pulled it open. A gust of cold night air rushed in, making the silverware on the nearest table clatter. He stepped inside slowly, deliberately, like he owned the place. His boots dragged against the tile and his eyes never left Amara. The conversations around the room dipped, then resumed in nervous murmurs. Families with kids tried not to stare, but the unease spread quickly. Tasha paused with a coffee pot midair, her dutiful rhythm broken. Gus Ramirez, the owner, leaned against the kitchen pass-through, his jaw tight. Amara's pulse thudded as Brenton gave her a smirk that wasn't meant for anyone else. It wasn't the smile of a man embarrassed to be late. It was something darker, an expression that said, "You're mine to toy with." She wanted to shrink into the booth, disappear into the glow of the neon sign outside, but her feet felt nailed to the floor. Then came the smallest interruption. Cole Whitaker set down his fork with a deliberate clink, loud enough to draw Brenton's eyes for just a second. Cole didn't rise, didn't speak directly, but he leaned an elbow on the counter, shoulders squared in quiet readiness. It was the kind of posture that spoke volumes. You're not the only man in this room anymore. Brenton stopped at Amara's booth, hands in his jacket pockets. He leaned slightly, voice low but clear enough for the tables nearby. You look nervous. I told you not to leave. Good thing you listened. Every muscle in Amara's body begged her to move, but she sat frozen, staring at the table. She hated that her fear made her obey, even for a second. Tasha appeared with another slip of paper, sliding it across Amara's table under the guise of dropping off a napkin. In bold pen strokes it read, "You can get up. He doesn't own this place." Amara's chest tightened. Someone had seen. Someone cared. She looked past Brenton toward the counter. Cole's gaze met hers for the first time. Not pity. Not flirtation. Just a steady signal you have a way out. Brenton leaned closer, lowering his voice, but clear enough for the tables nearby. You embarrassed me tonight. Do you know how that feels? After all the time I gave you? It wasn't true. They had exchanged a handful of shallow messages on an app, but his tone made it sound like she owed him something. Her hand slid toward the note, crumpling it in her fist. She swallowed hard and forced her voice to work. I'm not staying here with you. The bell over the door jingled again, sharp against the hum of the diner. Brenton pushed back inside, not to eat, not to sit, but to make a show of himself. His smirk carried a challenge. He tapped the glass with 2 fingers, pointing toward Amara's booth as if marking his territory, then walked back out without a word. That was worse than shouting. Everyone inside watched him cross the lot and lean against the side of his truck,
arms folded. The passenger door opened. Another man climbed out, shorter, stockier, his ball cap pulled low. They exchanged a laugh, but no one could hear the joke. Amara felt her throat close. It wasn't a date gone bad anymore. It was a setup. Cole stepped closer to her, his voice low. "Stay near Gus, don't step out there." But Brenton had other ideas. He gestured toward the door and pulled out his phone, raising it high like he was recording. His buddy pulled out his, too. Their eyes never left Amara through the glass. The cameras made it worse. A stranger could twist any clip, cut any angle. To the outside world, it might look like she was willing, like she wanted to be there. That thought alone sent a chill deeper than the cold night air. Minutes crawled by. The diner's warmth felt useless with two men stationed outside. Renton pulled out his phone and typed, his grin growing wider as Amara's screen lit up again. "Melanie, you're wasting my time." Her chest dropped. He had used her middle name. She had never told him that. Not on the app, not in any message. She turned pale. "How does he know?" she whispered. Cole frowned not at her, but at the detail. "That's not casual knowledge. That's something he pulled from somewhere." Amara's fingers shook as she scrolled through her messages, searching for any slip, any mention. Nothing. Brenton leaned against the hood now, smiling like he had just won. He shouted through the glass, "Come on, Melanie! Don't make me wait all night." The diner went silent. Every patron heard it. Every head turned to her. She wanted to vanish into the floor. Cole finally moved, steady as ever. "He doesn't know you. He just thinks he does. Don't let him write the story for you." His words cut through the fog of shame clinging to her chest. But the question burned. If he didn't know her personally, how did he get her middle name? Cole leaned against the counter, eyes fixed on the glow of the truck outside. The sticker haunted him. He'd reported it once before on a CB thread, and the replies had been split, half joking about secret trucker codes, half dead serious about women vanishing near way stations. Tonight, it wasn't a rumor anymore. It was parked 30 feet away. Cole reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his handheld CB unit. He flicked the switch, the static filling the diner like faint thunder. He adjusted the dial until familiar voices cut through. "Breaker 19, you boys rolling westbound past Vega," one voice asked. Another replied, "Yeah, just past the scales. Saw that triangle sticker again on a pickup. 2 numbers, same as before." Cole's stomach dropped. They were talking about the same code he'd just seen on Brenton's truck. Amara stood near the kitchen pass-through, her arms crossed tight, listening even though she didn't fully understand the chatter. She caught fragments, stickers, stops, code numbers, but it sounded like a language she wasn't meant to know. Cole lowered the radio, speaking just loud enough for her. "This isn't just about you. He's part of something organized. They use codes to mark routes, to signal when someone is alone." Her hands shook. She pressed them against her chest, trying to steady her breath. She hesitated, then confessed, "I shouldn't even be here. The account wasn't mine. I borrowed a friend's profile to meet him. I didn't tell her. I needed a way to get to Albuquerque." Cole raised an eyebrow, but stayed quiet, letting her go on. "My little brother, Ty, he has a guardianship hearing at UNM Hospital tomorrow. If I don't show up, he could end up in foster care. I couldn't miss it. I thought maybe this was my chance. A ride, a date, something." Her words spilled fast, edged with shame. "But I never told him my middle name. Not once." Cole's expression hardened. "That means he found you some other way." The CB crackled again, a new voice breaking through. "Warning to all westbound. 2 pickups seen circling truck stops between Amarillo and Tucumcari, running the same triangle code. Watch your backs." Amara's face paled. "That's him." Tasha hurried back from the register, holding her phone. "You both need to see this." She had pulled up the diner security footage from the past weekend. Grainy video filled the screen, showing the lot outside around midnight. The same pickup truck was there, same sticker, same spot. And in the corner of the footage, a young woman in a hoodie hurried inside for a coffee to go. She never reappeared on the cameras leaving. Not by the front, not by the back. Amara's stomach turned. What happened to her? Gus murmured, "She left with someone. I remember it. Said her ride was waiting. We thought nothing of it." Cole's jaw clenched. He'd heard too many endings to stories like that, and none of them were good. Amara gripped the counter to keep her knees steady. "So this isn't just him messing with me. This is what he does?" Cole didn't answer. He didn't need to. Bretton's truck headlights flashed twice. Not random. Not an accident. It was a signal. A few seconds later, another vehicle pulled into the lot, nosing right up to Bretton's bumper. A dark sedan, windows tinted. The passenger rolled the window down just enough to glance toward the diner. Amara staggered back. "There's another one?" Cole grabbed the CB again. "Breaker 19, I need a check. 2 units just pulled in at Sunrise Diner, Amarillo. Same code, same pattern. Can anyone confirm plates westbound?" The line crackled. A voice answered. "Copy that. Seen one of them near Vega yesterday. Don't let them box you in." The warning hit hard. Inside, the diner had gone silent again. Parents hugged kids closer. A pair of teenagers at the counter pulled out their phones, pretending not to look, but clearly rattled. Cole spoke low to Gus. "We can't keep her here. They'll wait us out." Amara shook her head. "I have nowhere else to go. No ride, no money, nothing." Cole looked at her, then at the second car, idling nose to nose with Bretton's truck. This was no date gone bad. This was a trap tightening. Bretton stepped out again, this time joined by the driver of the sedan. 2 men, both holding their phones up, recording through the glass like spectators at a game. Cole scanned their faces, then looked back at Amara. "They're not here for food. They're here for you." Amara's hands clenched around the napkin note she still carried. The ink had bled from her grip, but the words remained burned in her mind. "You can get up. He doesn't own this place." Her voice trembled as she whispered, "Then how do I leave?"
Cole didn't answer yet. His eyes were locked on the triangle sticker, the route code inside it, and the dark sedan parked right beside it. Whatever came next, it wouldn't be simple. The girl thought humiliation was the worst part, but now two vehicles circled like predators, flashing signals only a few understood. Would you recognize the danger in time if you saw those codes, or would you brush them off? Share your thoughts in the comments, and to make sure you don't miss what happens when they try to force her out, subscribe to Goodness Corner right now. Chapter 5 will reveal the shocking connection to a powerful company hiding in plain sight.
The sedan's engine rumbled low, its headlights off, but its presence undeniable. The passenger stepped out, tall and wiry, wearing a jacket zipped to his throat despite the Texas night still holding on to his heat. He didn't look at the menu posted by the door. He didn't glance at the neon open sign flickering above. Instead, his eyes scanned the roofline, tracing the small dome cameras Gus had installed years ago after a break-in. He smirked, pulled out his phone, and began recording. His camera swept across the windows, pausing on each angle, like he was calculating blind spots. Amar's breath hitched. He's not here to eat. Cole's voice stayed steady, though his fists tightened at his sides. No, he's mapping. The man pointed once toward Brenton, then tapped the sedan's hood twice. A signal. One Brenton understood, because he laughed, leaning casually against his pickup as if the whole lot belonged to him. Inside, every customer felt the shift. Conversations fell quiet again. A boy in a Little League cap whispered to his mom, "Why are they just standing there?" She hushed him quickly, glancing toward the men outside like eye contact itself was dangerous. Gus muttered, "I'm calling this in." He grabbed the landline, speaking in a low voice to the non-emergency dispatcher, carefully choosing his words. He knew if he said kidnapping, officers might not arrive fast enough, but threat outside the diner might draw quicker eyes. Amara stood near the counter, her shoulders rigid. The napkin note was gone now, shredded into pieces she clenched in her fist. She wasn't sure if her shaking was from anger or fear. Cole noticed her silence. "You need to tell me why you risked showing up tonight. There had to be a reason bigger than a bad date." Her eyes lifted, raw and tired. She hesitated, then spoke. "It's my brother, Ty. He's 12. We have a hearing at UNM Hospital tomorrow. If I don't show, he could lose his chance to stay with me." Her voice cracked. "Our mom's gone. Dad's not around. I'm all he has. But the court wants proof I can be responsible. They set the hearing early morning, and I had no way to get there. No car, no money, no family to help. So when Brenton offered a ride, maybe it was the only shot I had." Her words cut through the diner like a knife. Have you ever been so desperate to protect someone you love that you took a risk you knew was wrong? That's the way Amara carried, and it's a question worth asking yourself. Drop your answer in the comments. Cole studied her for a moment, then gave a slow nod. He didn't scold her. He didn't question her love for her brother. He understood what it meant to carry someone else's future on your back. But the danger outside wasn't just a personal mistake. It was a system built to trap people like her. The sedan idled, its driver tapping the steering wheel impatiently. When the passenger returned to his seat, Cole's eyes caught something near the license plate. The sedan's frame bore a faded brand stamp, Hale Distribution. It hit him like a blow. He'd hauled freight for them once, years back before he quit their contracts over irregular routes. They had always seemed off. Pickups at strange hours, loads redirected to unlisted stops, instructions that came too late for safety checks. Now here was one of their vehicles, parked nose to nose with Bretton's truck. Cole muttered, "Of course, Hale." Amar's head snapped toward him. "What did you say?" Cole leaned closer, his tone sharp but quiet. "That company, Hale Distribution, they're connected. I don't know how deep, but I filed a complaint once. Got brushed off. They said I was imagining things, but I wasn't." Her stomach churned. The name clicked too fast. Brenton's last name, Hale. It couldn't be a coincidence. She whispered, "He's tied to them. That's how he knew my middle name. That's how he got my information." Cole nodded grimly.
They've got more reach than people think. Freight lines, logistics, databases. If his family is behind that company, he has access to things you'd never imagine. The reality sunk in. This wasn't just a cruel stranger from a dating app. This was a man with a network, a system behind him, and she had walked right into his trap. Through the glass, Brenton smirked at her reaction. He knew. He could see the recognition dawning on her face. Cole moved deliberately back to the counter, whispering to Gus, "Lock the back door too." Gus complied, sliding the bolt with trembling hands. Tasha, standing close, whispered, "What are they waiting for?" Cole's jaw tightened. For her to panic. For her to step outside thinking she has no choice. Amara's breathing turned shallow. She gripped her wallet again, the crumpled $5 bill still inside. It felt smaller than ever, useless against men who could buy her name, her location, even her silence. But Cole's presence beside her, steady and unyielding, was proof she wasn't invisible. The sedan's headlights blinked twice, answering Brenton's earlier signal. Both men stepped toward the diner now, deliberate and slow. The lot lamps cast long shadows across the pavement as they advanced together. Cole muttered, "They're making their move." Amara's knees weakened, but she forced herself upright, clutching her wallet like it was a lifeline. She whispered back, "Then what do we do?" Cole's eyes never left the men outside. His answer was steady, final. "We hold the line until we know what game they're playing, and then we stop it." The neon sign above the door flickered once, buzzing louder than before, as if the diner itself sensed what was coming. The girl thought she was just fighting humiliation, but now a freight company's name ties her date to something much bigger. Do you think Cole is right about Hale Distribution being involved, or is it just a coincidence? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't miss what happens when their trap tightens. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now so you're here for Chapter 6, where the first shocking twist is revealed.
Cole's gaze stayed locked on the Hale Distribution plate frame outside. It wasn't just a brand to him. It was a reminder of every odd run he'd ever driven under their name. Years ago, he'd hauled pallets labeled miscellaneous supplies. No manifest, no destination he trusted. Just coordinates scribbled on slips of paper, always at night, always with pressure to keep quiet. He remembered one delivery vividly. A warehouse outside Lubbock. Security cameras pointed away from the entrance. No signatures, no paperwork, just men in unmarked jackets moving crates inside like clockwork. When he raised questions, his dispatcher warned him, "Drop it or drop your job." That night had gnawed at him for years. And now, staring at Brenton's truck nose to nose with a Hale Distribution sedan, he realized he hadn't been paranoid. He had been staring at a system he barely understood, and tonight it had come back. Amara leaned against the counter, her fist tight around the strap of her purse. If Hale Distribution is tied to Brenton, that explains how he found me. But how did he get my middle name? That's sealed in school records. Cole didn't answer right away. He thought it through. Freight companies like Hale move more than cargo. They move data, contracts, IDs, profiles, sometimes things they have no right to handle. If he has access through them, he could pull names from anywhere, registrations, medical shipments, even school documents. The color drained from her face. So he knew me before I even showed up. That realization hit hard. It wasn't a chance encounter. She hadn't been unlucky. She had been targeted.
Her voice cracked. "I walked straight into it." Cole met her eyes, steady. "No. He wanted you to think it was your fault."
The diner's hum had dropped to whispers, every eye flicking between Amara and the two vehicles idling in the lot. She could feel the weight of strangers' sympathy, but sympathy didn't open doors or pay for rides. Cole crouched beside her booth, keeping his voice low. You've got two choices. First, I call a friend from a trucker's ministry. They'll put you in a safe room nearby for the night. No charge, nobody bothers you. Tomorrow morning, you get an escort to Albuquerque. He paused, letting her breathe before adding. Second option, you ride out tonight. I'll lead a convoy. 2 trusted drivers are already heading west on I-40. You'll stay in my cab until we reach the hospital. Amara's eyes darted between his face and the window. Her heart pounded. Both options meant trusting someone she'd only met an hour ago. But the men outside weren't waiting for her to think it through. Her whisper was barely audible. I have to make it to Albuquerque. Tomorrow. Ty's hearing's at 10. If I miss it, he could be gone. Cole nodded once. Then that's our road. Gus cleared his throat from behind the counter. There's something else you both need to see. He reached under the register and pulled out a small USB stick, scuffed and labeled in black marker, H-drops. Guy left this a few weeks back, said it had roots on it. Never came back for it. I didn't want to plug it into anything in case it was a virus, but maybe it means something to you. Cole took the drive, his thumb pressing against the worn plastic. The letters sent a chill down his spine. Drops. That was trucker slang for delivery points, the kind you didn't ask questions about. He slipped it into his jacket pocket. We'll check it when we're safe. Amara hugged her arms tight. If that has my name on it? Cole cut her off gently. We'll deal with that later. Right now, it's about getting you on the road alive. Outside, the sedan revved once, loud enough to rattle the diner's glass. Brenton leaned against the hood, arms crossed, his grin wide. Then, without warning, he climbed into his truck, turned the wheel hard, and pulled across the exit ramp leading to I-40. Headlights stayed off, but the message was clear. If anyone tried to leave, they'd have to get through him first. Cole exhaled slowly. He's done playing games. He's building a cage. Amara's chest tightened. So we're trapped? No, Cole said firmly. We're just not going to use the door he wants. He turned to Gus. Keep the lights bright inside. Make them think we're waiting. When we move, you lock up tight. Gus gave a stiff nod. Be careful. Amara's throat felt dry. She wanted to run back to her tiny apartment in Tulsa, curl up under her blanket and wake to find this was just a nightmare. But Ty's face kept flashing in her mind. The way he smiled when she promised him she'd never let him get lost in the system. She whispered, half to herself, half to Cole, I have to make it to Albuquerque. Tomorrow. Ty's hearing is at 10. If I miss it, he could be gone. Cole nodded once. Then that's our road. Cole pulled the USB from his pocket again, staring at the letters. He'd seen too many shady codes in his years on the road, but this one gnawed at him. As he turned it in his fingers, Amara's phone buzzed once more. She looked down and gasped. The message read, Nice choice. We'll be waiting at your brother's hearing. Her stomach lurched. How could they know? Cole's grip tightened on the USB. He looked at her, his voice firm but grim. They're 2 steps ahead of us. Outside, Brenton honked twice, long and low, like a signal carried down the highway. The headlights flashed in response. The trap wasn't closing. It was already set. The girl finally made her choice, to ride with a truck driver into the night. But her enemies knew about her brother's hearing before she even told them. Do you think the USB will reveal how deep the Hale network really runs? Comment your guess below, and don't miss Chapter 8 where the convoy heads west and the chase turns deadly. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now so you won't be left behind. By midnight, the diner's neon sign was the only steady light on the frontage road. Cole had his rig idling at the side entrance, its diesel engine thrumming steady like a heartbeat. Beside it, a second semi rolled in, A sleek blue Kenworth driven by Nate Hollis, a man Cole trusted from years on the road. Nate stepped down, stretching his shoulders. Heard chatter on the CB. Sounds like he stirred a hornet's nest. Cole's reply was blunt. We're moving west. Need another set of eyes. He sized up Amara, pale but steady as she climbed into the passenger seat of Cole's truck. He gave her a nod, not pity, not judgment, just recognition. Then he slid back into his cab and pulled in behind, his headlights forming a shield. The convoy was set, Cole leading, Amara beside him, Nate guarding the rear. Brenton's pickup still loitered near the diner entrance, but Cole didn't wait for another showdown. He eased onto the ramp, 40 tons of steel carrying Amara away from the glass walls that had felt like both prison and protection. The open road swallowed them whole. Once they were on I-40, the steady hum of tires against asphalt filled the cab. Amara sat stiffly, clutching her phone, the words, "We'll be waiting at your brother's hearing," replaying in her mind. Cole reached into his jacket and pulled out the USB. We need to know what's on this. Might tell us what we're dealing with. He plugged it into the small laptop mounted to his dash. The screen lit with the folder marked routes. Inside, a series of pins appeared on a map stretching from Shamrock to Gallup. Each pin had a 2-digit code and a timestamp. Amara leaned closer. Those are truck stops. Cole clicked on one marked 22. A photo popped up. Grainy, low-res, but unmistakable. A young woman standing by a vending machine, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Underneath, a single word, cleared. He clicked another pin, this one marked 35. Another photo, a different girl, this time outside a motel. The tag beneath it moved. Amara's stomach turned. They're tracking people. Cole nodded grimly, and using truckers' routes to do it. She swallowed hard. Is my name on there? They scrolled quickly, eyes scanning the list. Near the end, a code labeled 47 carried no photo, just a word, pending, and beside it, her name. Amara covered her mouth, fighting back nausea. Cole closed the laptop, jaw set. We're marked to you before tonight even started. Nate's voice crackled through the CB. Cole, you've got company. 2 pickups just merged behind me at exit 68. Cole checked his mirror. Headlights glared in the distance, weaving in and out of traffic. Stay tight, Nate. Don't let them box us. Amara gripped the dashboard. It's them, isn't it? Most likely. They closed the gap, their engines roaring louder as they swerved closer. One pulled alongside Nate's trailer, flashing high beams in an aggressive strobe. The other hung back, tailgating dangerously. Nate's calm voice cut through the static. They're testing our line. They want me rattled. Cole pressed the CB. Hold steady. If they want to fight, they'll have to come through me first. Up ahead, a green highway sign announced the Tucumcari exit in 2 miles. Cole remembered Deputy Morales' warning. She wanted to meet them there for a safe handoff. But the convoy couldn't ignore the threat on their tail. As they approached the off-ramp, the trailing pickup suddenly surged forward, cutting between Nate's semi and Cole's rig. Brenton's truck, recognizable even in the dark. Amara's pulse raced. He's here. Brenton swerved, trying to force Cole towards the shoulder. Cole held his line, the sheer weight of his rig making it impossible for the smaller truck to dominate. But Brenton didn't need to win. He just needed to slow them down long enough for the second vehicle to block the ramp. Sure enough, the sedan from the diner was waiting at the exit, angled across the lane like a barricade. Nate cursed over the CB. They're boxing you in, Cole. Cole scanned quickly. Left lane packed. Right shoulder narrow and littered with debris. Ahead blocked. He gritted his teeth. Then we make our own lane. Cole downshifted, his rig roaring louder as he swung wide, grinding over the shoulder. Gravel sprayed against the cab as the semi barreled past the sedan, clipping its rear bumper and spinning it halfway into the ditch. Amara gasped, clutching the seat as the cab shook, but Cole kept steady hands on the wheel. Behind them, Nate leaned hard on his horn, forcing Brenton to back off or risk being crushed under 40 tons of steel. The convoy thundered back onto the highway, the open lane stretching west. For a moment, silence filled the cab except for the pounding of Amara's heart. Cole's voice finally broke through. "We're not stopping until Tucumcari." Amara pressed her forehead against the cool glass, fighting back tears. She thought about Ty, waiting for her in Albuquerque, never knowing how close she was to losing her chance to stand by him. The CB crackled again, this time a new voice, female, steady. "Cole Whitaker, this is Deputy Morales. I see your convoy on the cameras. You've got 2 vehicles tailing hard, matching earlier reports. Hold position at the west lot. We'll meet you there." Cole exhaled. Backup was close. But in the mirror, Brenton's headlights still glared, relentless, unblinking. And then Amara's phone buzzed with a new message. "You can run the highway, Melanie, but you can't run the hearing." Her blood ran cold. The convoy broke through a trap on the highway, but Brenton is still in pursuit. And somehow his network already knows about Amara's brother's hearing. Do you think the deputy's arrival will turn the tide? Or will the pursuers tighten their grip even more? Comment your prediction below. And to see how this chase explodes into betrayal, subscribe to Goodness Corner right now, because Chapter 9 reveals the shocking truth about a man the town thought they could trust.
The convoy rolled into the outskirts of Tucumcari, engines echoing against the empty storefronts and shuttered motels. Midnight had turned into early morning, and the desert air carried a restless chill. Cole steered into a wide church lot that had been used the year before for tornado relief. Folding tables still sat stacked under a tin awning, and a banner reading "Community Strong" fluttered weakly against the chain-link fence. Waiting near the center of the lot was a van with a magnetic cross emblem on its side. A man in a dark jacket stepped forward as the rigs parked. He waved with an easy smile, his presence calm in contrast to the chaos on the road. Amara leaned forward, squinting through the windshield. "Who is that?" Cole's voice was guarded. "Pastor Raymond Pike runs half the relief drives out here. Folks trust him."
Dawn crept across the desert sky as the convoy approached Albuquerque. The horizon glowed soft orange, streaked with clouds that promised heat by midday. Cole's rig rumbled steady, headlights dimmed now in the early light. Nate's blue Kenworth followed close behind, his horn sounding once in quiet reassurance. Amara hadn't slept. Her eyes burned from exhaustion, but her body refused rest. Every time she closed them, she saw the roster in the pastor's van. Her name, written in bold, pending. The city skyline finally broke over the flat stretch of highway, hospital towers rising like sentinels at the edge of town. Her chest tightened. "We made it," she whispered, though it felt too fragile to say out loud. Cole glanced at her. "We're not finished yet, but we're here." At 10 sharp, Amara sat in a conference room on the 4th floor of UNM Hospital. The walls were sterile white, decorated only with faded posters about child wellness and safety. Ty sat beside her, small and wide-eyed, his hand clutching hers tightly. The guardian officer flipped through a stack of papers, his voice monotone. "Miss Bennett, your attendance today was required. There were concerns regarding your ability to provide stability." Amara's throat closed. She wanted to scream that she had crossed highways, faced predators, fought to stand here, but none of that was written in the papers before him. She straightened her spine, voice steady. "I'm here. I promised him I would be." The officer glanced at Ty, then back at her. He nodded slowly. "Your presence speaks louder than anything else on these forms." Relief flooded her chest. Ty squeezed her hand tighter, whispering, "Told you we'd make it." But even in the glow of that small victory, the shadow of the night still lingered. After the hearing, Amara was called aside by a hospital social worker. The woman handed her an envelope. "This came in early this morning, covered a full month of Ty's medication. No sender listed." Amara froze. "Who paid for this?" The worker shrugged. "Anonymous donor. Happens sometimes. You're fortunate." Amara turned the envelope over and over in her hands, searching for any clue. She looked at Cole, who waited by the door. His expression was calm, but when she asked, "Was this you?" he shook his head firmly. "Not me, but someone wants you to stay standing." Her mind whirled. Was it another trap? Or was it kindness from an unseen ally? That afternoon, Cole led her up to the hospital's rooftop garden. Rows of herbs and flowers swayed in the breeze, and the city spread wide beneath them. Nate leaned against the railing, his cap pulled low, watching traffic snake along the freeway. Cole pulled the USB from his pocket and handed it to Kendra Morales, who had joined them after finishing her report. She slipped it into her laptop, scrolling through the files with a practiced eye. Her jaw tightened. This isn't just Amarillo. These pins stretch across 5 states: New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arizona, Texas, and Colorado. And every pin has a name. Amara's stomach flipped. How many? Kendra's voice dropped. Dozens, maybe more. And here's the worst part. Your name isn't the only one marked pending. She turned the screen so they could see. Another name sat just below Amara's. Ty Bennett. Amara staggered back, her hand gripping the railing. They knew about him too? Cole's expression hardened. That's why they sent the message. The hearing wasn't just a coincidence. It was part of their plan. For a long moment, silence hung over the rooftop. The morning sun burned higher, casting harsh light on the truth. Amara could collapse under the weight of it, or she could decide something else. She turned to Cole, her voice steady now. I won't let them take him. Not Ty. Not anyone. If they're running a network,
It ends with us exposing it. Kendra gave a slow nod. Then you're not alone anymore. But you need to be ready. Once you shine a light on this, they'll come harder. Amara tightened the grip on Ty's hand. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like the girl who barely scraped by. She felt like someone who had survived the night and walked into morning with resolve. That evening, Cole, Nate, Amara, and Ty sat in a small diner near the hospital. Not Sunrise Diner, not Amarillo, but one with the same vinyl booths and the smell of coffee clinging to the air. The waitress set down 4 menus, but Amara didn't open hers. She pulled the crumpled $5 bill from her wallet, smoothing it on the table. This is all I had when it started. Just $5. Ty looked at her, confused. Why keep it? She smiled faintly. Because it reminds me that no matter how little you have, someone can still notice you. Someone can still remind you that you matter. Cole lifted his coffee cup in a quiet salute. To being seen. Nate clinked his water glass against it. Ty followed suit with his soda. For the first time in a long time, Amara laughed. Not because everything was fixed, but because she wasn't carrying it alone. Later that night, as they were preparing to leave, Amara's phone buzzed one last time. She hesitated, then looked. It wasn't Brenton. It wasn't unknown. It was a message from an unsaved number. USB folder 2 unlocked. Check the initials CBP. Your brother isn't the only target. Her breath caught. She looked at Cole. There's more. Cole's expression was grim. Then this isn't over. Not by a long shot. The desert wind swept through the lot, rattling a loose sign. Above them, the neon diner light flickered, casting brief shadows before glowing steady again. Morning had come, but the fight had only begun. The girl survived the night, reached her brother's hearing, and found her name erased from the pending list. But the USB revealed something far bigger. The network's reach goes beyond her, and the initials point to the next storm. Do you believe Amara should go public with the truth, or keep quiet until she knows who to trust? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't miss what comes after. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now so you'll be the first to see where the story goes.
The diner's fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a muted glow on the booth where Amara sat with Ty, Cole, and Nate. Her phone screen glowed brighter than everything else, the words still fresh. USB folder 2 unlocked. Check the initials. CBP. Your brother isn't the only target. Her throat tightened. What's CBP? She whispered. Cole took the phone, his brow furrowed. He wasn't rattled easily, but the initials struck a nerve. Could mean Customs and Border Protection, or something else. Whatever it is, somebody wants us to look deeper. Kendra Morales arrived minutes later, having wrapped up her arrest report on Pastor Pike. She slid into the booth, nodding at the message on Amara's phone. If that drive's got more files, we need to see them. Now. Cole set his laptop on the table, slipping in the USB again. A new folder appeared, CBP. He clicked it open. The screen filled with spreadsheets, rows of names, dates, and coded locations. But this list looked different. The column titles read Checkpoint, Batch, Pending. Amara's heart sank as she scrolled. Each row listed initials, not full names, but one line near the bottom stood out. TB, Pending. She whispered, Ty Bennett. Her little brother, sitting beside her, swinging his legs in the booth, oblivious to what those letters meant. Kendra leaned closer, her voice tight. These aren't just random kids. These are grouped. Look here. Dallas, Phoenix, Denver. The initials align with regional stops. Cole muttered, It's logistics. They're running people like freight. Nate slammed his palm against the table, rattling the silverware. They're cataloging children. Amara clutched Ty closer, her chest burning with rage. So Albuquerque wasn't a coincidence. They were moving him onto this list before I even knew it existed. Kendra scrolled further. One column caught her eye. Batch code CBP004. The attached note read, "Scheduled transfer, verification pending." Amara's stomach churned. Verification pending? That means they hadn't confirmed me yet. That's why I was marked pending before. Cole nodded grimly, and Ty's next. Silence fell over the booth. For a moment, the clatter of dishes and hum of conversations around them felt miles away. Amara lifted her chin, eyes fierce now. We can't just keep running. If they're building these lists, more kids are marked, more families are walking into the same trap. Kendra agreed. If we take this to my department, it'll get buried. Too many ties, too many hands. But if we go public without proof, we'll look like conspiracy nuts. Cole rubbed his jaw, thinking. Then we don't go through the front door. We leak it, piece by piece. Drop it into hands they can't silence. Journalists, drivers on CB, anyone who'll listen. Nate smirked, bitter but ready. Turn their own network against them. Ty tugged at Amara's sleeve. His voice was small but certain. Don't let them take me. Amara hugged him close. They won't, I promise. Just as resolve settled over the table, a shadow fell across the booth. The waitress froze mid-step, tray in hand. A figure stood near the entrance, backlit by neon, head tilted. Even before his face came clear, Amara knew. Brenton Hale. He wasn't grinning this time. He wasn't mocking. His eyes burned with something colder. He'd followed them here. The air in the diner thickened. People kept eating, unaware of the storm that had just walked in. Cole's voice was low, but sharp. Stay behind me. Brenton took a slow step forward, his boots echoing against the tile. He raised his phone, showing the screen. On it was the roster they'd just uncovered, initials glowing in the dim light. He spoke for the first time since Tucumcari. You think you can rewrite the list? You don't get it. The list writes you. Amara's blood froze. He knew about Folder 2. Cole stood, his shadow stretching across the booth. Walk out now. Brenton didn't move. He simply slid a folded slip of paper across the nearest table, his eyes never leaving Amara. Then he turned and walked back out into the night, the door slamming shut behind him. Amara's trembling hand reached for the paper. She unfolded it slowly. Inside was a single line of text. CBP 005. Next stop, Denver. Her breath caught. Denver was her mother's last known city. She looked at Cole, her voice breaking. They're not just after Ty, they're after where we came from. The table fell silent as the truth settled in. The network wasn't ending, it was expanding. And Brenton had just handed them the next map. The girl thought she'd escaped the list, but Folder 2 revealed something bigger. Initials pointing to her brother, to other children, and now to Denver, her family's past. Do you believe Brenton left the clue as a threat or as a dare for them to follow? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't miss what comes next. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now so you'll be the first to see how Chapter 12 pushes the fight beyond Albuquerque.
The slip of paper with CBP 005, next stop Denver, sat folded in Amara's hand like a live wire. Every time she looked at it, her pulse quickened. Denver wasn't just another dot on a map. It was where her mother had disappeared years earlier, leaving only a trail of overdue bills and unanswered questions. Cole drove west with steady hands, Nate's blue rig shadowing close behind. Ty slept fitfully in the bunk behind them, his small body curling into the blanket like it could shield him from the world. Amara whispered, "Why Denver? Why now?" Cole's jaw tightened. Because they knew it would hit you hardest. These people don't just move freight, they move fear.
They use what matters most to keep you from fighting back. Kendra's cruiser followed in the convoy, her radio squawking occasionally with updates from state troopers. But even she admitted, whatever this Hale network is, they've got more resources than we do. We're chasing shadows. Amara shook her head. Not shadows. Ghosts from my family's past. By the time they reached Denver, dusk had settled, painting the skyline in shades of steel and violet. Cole steered the convoy toward the industrial district along Brighton Boulevard, where warehouses lined the road like silent sentries. The USB had carried GPS pins, and one matched this location. A wide lot surrounded by fencing, floodlights mounted high, and trucks parked in neat rows. At first glance, it looked like any logistics hub, but the logo stenciled on the trailers made Amara's stomach twist. Hale Distribution. Nate parked across the street, his engine humming low. We can't just storm in. Kendra adjusted her radio. I'll call it in, but if we wait for backup, they'll move whatever's inside before help arrives. Amara pressed against the window, her breath fogging the glass. That place, I know it. Mom used to work there before she left us. She called it a temporary job. She said it was nothing, just loading paperwork. But she came home scared some nights. She never told me why. Cole glanced at her. Then this isn't coincidence. They've been in your life longer than you realized. Kendra led the way as they slipped through a gap in the fence. The lot was quiet except for the buzz of a single sodium lamp. They crept toward the nearest trailer, its padlock hanging loose like someone expected to return soon. Cole swung the doors open. The trailer was empty, except for a clipboard nailed to the inside wall. Amara stepped forward, her chest tightening as she read the pages clipped there. It wasn't shipping manifests, it was another roster. This time, the initials weren't just strangers, they were tied to family records, guardianship hearings, foster care cases. Each line listed a code, a date, and a single word: transfer. Halfway down the page, Amara froze. M.B. Transfer complete. Her vision blurred. M.B. That's my mother, Marisol Bennett. Her knees buckled and Cole caught her before she hit the floor. Her voice cracked. They didn't just take girls from truck stops, they took her. Kendra swore under her breath, gripping the roster tighter. This network has been running longer than we thought. Generations. Amara's tears burned hot. She wasn't just gone. She was marked, like me, like Ty. As they stood in the trailer's hollow silence, a voice echoed from the shadows of the lot. Slow. Mocking. You finally caught up. Brenton stepped into the light, flanked by two men in Hale jackets. His smirk was gone, replaced with something colder, sharper. He raised a tablet in his hand. On the screen was the same roster they held, but updated in real time. New initials scrolled across the page as if the list was still being written.
1 second, the warehouse yard was blinding with floodlights. The next, it was pitch black. Amara gasped, clutching Ty against her as the sudden dark swallowed the lot. The hum of the lamps faded, replaced by the low growl of engines circling beyond the fence. Somewhere metal clanged, and the echo bounced sharp against the trailers. Cole's voice cut through, calm but urgent. "Stay low. Don't move unless I say." Nate flicked on a flashlight, but the beam barely pierced the gloom. Feels like they wanted this. Kendra drew her weapon, her flashlight clipped beneath it. The beam swept over the gravel, landing briefly on footprints near the fence, fresh, leading deeper into the yard. Amara's chest tightened. They're already inside. The silence was worse than noise. Every creak, every footstep seemed amplified, impossible to track. A voice rang out from the shadows, smooth, confident. Funny thing about heroes is, they don't know when they're already written off. Brenton again. The beam of Nate's flashlight caught him briefly between two trailers before he ducked back into the dark. His laughter echoed, bouncing until they couldn't tell where he was anymore. Kendra whispered into her radio. Unit requesting immediate backup at Brighton Yard. Suspects inside, armed or not, unknown. Static hissed back. No acknowledgement. Cole muttered, "They've jammed the signal." Ty whimpered softly, and Amara hugged him tighter. She could feel his small heart hammering against her ribs. Then another sound, boots crunching gravel, closer now. Two figures stepped from the dark, wearing jackets with the Hale logo stitched in. One held a clipboard, the other a camera. They weren't armed with guns, they were armed with documentation, proof to twist reality. The one with the camera sneered, "Smile for us, Melanie. Let's show the world how willing you were." Cole moved first, blocking the lens with his broad frame. "That recording dies here." The cameraman's smirk widened. "That's what you think." Chaos erupted. Nate swung the flashlight beam hard, catching the cameraman in the eyes. Cole lunged, knocking the device from his hands. It clattered against the gravel, but the second man bolted for it, scooping it up. Kendra shouted, "Drop it," and fired a warning shot into the ground. The crack echoed like thunder. But Brenton's laughter answered. "Shoot one, 10 more will rise." Amara grabbed Ty's hand and ducked behind a trailer. Her pulse raced, her breath shallow. She could hear the scuffle, boots against gravel, bodies colliding. But the dark made every direction uncertain. Cole's voice rang out, strained but steady. "Amara, stay hidden." She wanted to obey. But then she saw it, the faint glow of a screen lying in the dirt, the dropped camera. Its red light still blinked, recording. If it captured her face, her brother's, the footage would be twisted into their story. Amara darted forward, heart hammering. She scooped up the device, smashing it hard against the trailer wall until the screen shattered and sparks flickered. For a moment, silence fell. Then Brenton's voice came, low and dangerous. "Clever girl, but now you've chosen sides." Engines revved again beyond the fence, louder this time, more vehicles pulling in. Headlights flashed briefly through the slats before cutting out. Kendra hissed, "We're outnumbered." Cole gritted his teeth, "Then we hold until we find a way out." Amara clutched Ty, her knuckles white. The broken camera lay at her feet, smoke curling from its shattered lens. From the shadows, Brenton's voice echoed one last time. Denver was just the rehearsal. The real show starts in Kansas City. The night went silent again. Too silent. Amara's chest tightened. Kansas City. Another checkpoint, another trap. And this time, the network wanted her to follow. The girl thought she could smash their evidence and take back her story, but Brenton revealed the truth. Denver was only rehearsal, and Kansas City is where the real game begins. Would you risk chasing the network into another city, or disappear and protect your family in silence? Share your answer in the comments, and don't miss Chapter 14. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now, so you're there when the chase moves to Kansas City and the network's biggest secret is finally exposed.
The convoy crossed the Missouri River just as dawn bled into morning. Kansas City's skyline shimmered ahead, steel and glass catching the light.
Unlike the desolate yards of Denver, this place pulsed with activity. Semi-trucks crowding the highways, billboards promising opportunity, and freight depots lining the interstates like arteries feeding the city. Cole kept his rig steady, but his eyes never stopped scanning. Big cities mean more cover, harder to know who's watching. Amara pressed her forehead against the window, exhausted but alert. Ty sat beside her, fiddling with a deck of cards Nate had given him to keep his hands busy. His innocence clashed painfully against the tension in the cab. Kendra's cruiser followed close, her radio alive with chatter. She cut in over the CB. Tip just came in. Hale Distribution's Midwest hub runs out of a checkpoint near Independence. They use it like a way station, but records show no state contracts. Something's off. Cole muttered, "That's where we'll find them." They reached the checkpoint by mid-morning. At first glance, it looked like any state-run inspection site. Long lanes for trucks, booths with scanners, officers in reflective vests directing traffic. But the details didn't add up. The signage was generic, the trucks rolling through bore Hale's logo almost exclusively, and every booth attendant wore unmarked caps pulled low. Nate whistled over the CB. This isn't regulation. They built themselves a fake port of entry. Amara's skin prickled. Why here? Kendra answered flatly, because it's central. From Kansas City, they can route east, west, north, south. Every direction feeds their system. Cole pulled the rig to the shoulder, cutting the engine. His tone was low but decisive. We go in quiet, find proof, get out before they realize we're inside. Amara nodded, though fear knotted her stomach. And if they already know we're coming? Cole's silence said enough. They slipped through a service gate, weaving between lines of parked trailers. The sound of air brakes and diesel engines masked their footsteps. Amara kept Ty close, her heart hammering with every echo. Kendra led them towards a prefab office building at the center of the lot. She forced the door open with her badge and a steady hand. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed over rows of filing cabinets and humming computers. On a desk near the back sat a binder marked CBP-005 Kansas City batch. Amara's hands shook as she opened it. Inside were rosters like the ones in Denver, but longer. Dozens of initials, dates, and case notes. Some were stamped moved, others in transit, and a chilling handful delayed. Her stomach flipped as she reached the bottom. TB, delayed. Her brother's initials again. She slammed the binder shut. They know he's here. They're waiting. Cole's jaw tightened. Then we don't give them the chance. A metallic clang echoed outside. Voices shouted. Tires screeched as trucks repositioned in the lot. Kendra peeked through the blinds. Her face went pale. They sealed the exits. Amara pulled Ty close, her voice trembling. They knew. They wanted us inside. Footsteps thundered up the metal stairs outside the office. Shadows crossed the frosted glass. Then the door swung open. Brenton Hale stepped in, flanked by two men in plain jackets. His grin returned, sharp and poisonous. "Welcome to Kansas City," he said softly. "Right on schedule." Cole stepped forward, blocking Amara and Ty. His voice was iron. "This ends tonight." Brenton chuckled, tossing the binder onto the desk. "You still don't get it, do you? Every page you've seen, it's just one copy. There are dozens more. You can't burn what we've already shipped." He snapped his fingers. The men behind him swung the door shut, locking it. Outside, engines roared louder, a chorus of steel giants revving like a warning. Amara's pulse pounded in her ears. The binder sat inches away, proof of everything. But Brenton was closer. Her choice was clear. Grab the binder as proof, or protect Ty and leave it behind. There wasn't time for both. The girl thought she came to Kansas City for answers, but found herself trapped in the Hale network's largest hub, face to face with Brenton once again. If you were in Amara's place, would you grab the binder as proof, or protect Ty and leave it behind? Comment your choice below, and don't miss Chapter 15. Subscribe to Goodness Corner right now so you'll be here when the confrontation explodes inside the Kansas City checkpoint.
The office door slammed shut, the metallic click of the lock echoing louder than Brenton's laugh. His two men flanked him, arms folded, eyes cold. Behind the blinds, headlights swept across the lot, signaling the ring of trucks surrounding the building. Amara clutched Ty against her chest, every muscle screaming at her to run, but there was nowhere to go. Cole stepped forward, calm as steel. "You've done a lot of circling, Hale. Why not tell us what this is really about?" Brenton leaned against the desk, casual as though this was his office. "You still don't see it. It's not about you, Whittaker. Not about her either. It's about control. Routes, families, lives, they all pass through our checkpoints eventually. We don't just move goods, we move people. And every time one of you thinks you can fight it, he tapped the binder with one finger. The list wins. Kendra's hand hovered near her holster. Not tonight. Brenton smirked. You're outnumbered, deputy. Think about the cameras outside. One wrong move and the story isn't that you saved a girl. It's that you trespassed, drew your weapon, and escalated a peaceful stop. Who will the public believe? Amara's stomach turned. He was twisting the narrative again, just like before. Cole didn't flinch. If you wanted us erased, you'd have done it on the highway. You brought us here for a reason. So what's the play? Brenton's grin widened. You've got sharp instincts. The play is simple. She hands over the boy. The air in the room cracked like glass. Amara clutched Ty against her chest, every muscle screaming at her to run. But over my dead body. Brenton shrugged. That's one way. Cole's fists clenched, but his voice stayed level. Why him? Brenton's eyes glinted. Because he's leverage, a pending transfer, delayed too long, and because she'll never stop running unless we own what she loves most. Families make the cleanest chains. Nate's voice thundered from behind. You're not taking him anywhere. For a tense moment, no one moved. Engines outside revved louder, headlights sweeping back and forth like predators, pacing. Brenton finally leaned back, signaling with his chin. One of his men produced a folded slip of paper, sliding it across the desk toward Cole. Cole opened it. Inside were 3 letters. K-C-L. Brenton's voice was smooth. Kansas City list. Ty's on it. So is she. You want them off? Convince me. Cole didn't waste another second. He lunged, slamming the paper back into Brenton's chest. The desk rattled as Brenton staggered, but his grin didn't fade. The room erupted. One of Brenton's men swung at Cole, but Nate intercepted, driving him back into the cabinets with a crash that sent folders spilling across the floor. Kendra drew her weapon, leveling it at the second guard, who froze, hands half raised. Amara pulled Ty into the corner, shielding him with her body. Her eyes darted between the chaos and the binder on the desk. Proof, names, futures. She grabbed it, clutching the heavy pages to her chest. Brenton saw the move. His smirk cracked into rage. That's mine! He lunged at her, but Cole intercepted, slamming him against the wall. Their forearms locked, the sound of straining muscles louder than the hum of the lights overhead. You don't own her, Cole growled. You don't own anyone. Brenton's grin returned, blood at the corner of his mouth. That's where you're wrong. With a sudden twist, he shoved Cole back. The impact rattled the blinds, sending dust into the air. Brenton reached for Amara, but she held the binder like a shield. Her voice trembled, but cut sharp. You took my mother. You tried to take me. You won't touch him. For the first time, Brenton's smirk faltered.